Matthew Perry was the man who made millions laugh, a familiar face in living rooms around the world. But behind the comedic timing and effortless charm was a long private battle that few ever truly saw. In the quiet of one October evening, everything came to an unexpected stop. What happened inside that home, and why? Matthew Perry, actor, comedian, and global cultural figure.
I want to ask both of you, which is funnier, sarcasm or cluelessness?
Well, the sarcasm.
Who's the funniest person in the cast?
Matthew Perry.
Lisa Kudrow.
Matthew Perry is the funniest person in the whole world.
On the planet.
Thank you very much.
I think that's
And you know what? And I mean that, actually. I've been saying it as a joke, and I absolutely mean it.
Yeah, we all laugh at Matthew's jokes, so that keeps us all a tight group.
You guys have all taken
Born on August 19, 1969 in Massachusetts, Perry spent part of his childhood in Canada before returning to the United States to pursue acting. He appeared in several television series and films in the late 1980s and early 1990s, gradually building a career in Hollywood. In 1994, Perry became a household name with his portrayal of Chandler Bing on Friends, a role he would play for 10 seasons.
I think they just keep getting better. With time, it's like a nice bottle of wine. Just ages well.
Hey guys.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Hi, Dave. Where the hell were you?
24 years.
It's always nice to have new people on the show, but it's the best part of the show from the very beginning has been, I think we all agree, just the six of us in the coffee house hanging out and laughing, and we're having a great time, and I gotta go. Bye.
Good luck.
Well put. Wow. Well,
You've had a lot.
The show became one of the most successful and influential sitcoms of its time, reaching audiences worldwide and solidifying his position as a leading figure in television comedy.
The cool thing is when you have a line to say, I mean, I know when I have a line to say, I can take it to any of these five people and get a completely different reaction, it's, you know, they developed really great characters and the actors, you know, play them well, so it's really fun, and we have a really good time doing it, so I think that comes across.
Throughout his career, Perry participated in numerous charitable initiatives, including support for addiction recovery programs, awareness campaigns, and advocacy for mental health. He was a prominent actor whose work influenced a generation of audiences, but he was also someone whose life in the public eye reflected both achievement and the pressures of sustained fame.
Secrets kill you. Secrets kill people like me.
Hi, my name is Matthew, although you may know me by another name. My friends call me Maddie, and I should be dead.
Yeah.
On the night of October 28, 2023, Matthew Perry was at home, reportedly moving through his usual routine. Catching up on correspondence, checking emails, reviewing scripts, and making plans for upcoming projects. At various points, he spoke with friends and colleagues over the phone and was seen preparing a meal, performing small household tasks, and taking moments to sit quietly seemingly at ease. To anyone observing from the outside, everything appeared ordinary. Sometime that evening, he was found unresponsive in the heated end of a hot tub. Emergency services were called. Paramedics arrived within moments. Despite immediate life-saving measures, he could not be revived.
I mean, I was shocked because, you know, when you see an ambulance come outside, you know, obviously wondering, I mean, everyone would wonder, what's it exactly for? And then I kind of looked outside because I was about to head to a friend's house and they were outside my neighbor's door. So, I mean, I didn't think much of it at the time until, you know, police started arriving and everything.
Investigators immediately began reconstructing the timeline. Witness accounts were collected. Medical personnel provided statements. Every movement, every action that night was logged and examined, every detail scrutinized. The scene was processed, evidence documented, calls, entries, and timelines verified. The aim? To determine what had transpired in those final hours. And for the world, all they could do was wait.
The shocking news overnight about the death of actor Matthew Perry.
Actor Matthew Perry has died. The beloved Friends star was reportedly discovered dead in the jacuzzi of his LA area home this afternoon.
Tributes are being paid this morning to the Friends actor Matthew Perry, who has died at the age of 54.
I don't know, he wasn't glamorous, he was, you know, just your average Joe, and so I think he was relatable for a lot of people.
My favorite line, "Can it be any weirder?" All those are amazing, and that will always be with me. I spend a lot of time watching the show and growing up with the show, and he's an integral part of the flow of the show.
You can see Chandler in every people on the street sometimes, you know what I mean? Because a family of yours or a friend of yours sometimes is like Chandler, that's why.
As a character that, you know, you could feel the things he was feeling, and then he turned it into comedy and made you laugh.
Well, yeah, he had more of the insecurities than the others, and I think there was an honesty kind of to that in terms of being lucky in love and using sarcasm to deal with trauma and pain and kind of difficult childhood.
And I think that he is an incredible actor. He made millions of people laugh, also like all over the world, and I think one of the things that is a lesser known impact that he had was that he taught a lot of people English. I always hear stories about people watching Friends in other countries because it was syndicated all over the world, and that's how they learned English, and I feel like that's like a underappreciated part of his legacy.
It's actually probably my favorite actor from Friends, or one of my favorite actors of all time. I mean, you know, he made the funniest jokes on the show, and you know, especially the dances he did and all of that.
He just had such a way about how he greeted people, and I think that's what I will miss, definitely.
He always put a smile on your face, no matter how you're feeling. You could watch it and you'd know it'd make you laugh.
Fans around the world were left confronting a troubling truth. Someone who seemed stable, productive, and surrounded by plans for the future had vanished without warning. Matthew Perry had spoken openly about his past battles, his recoveries, and his determination to stay healthy. Yet his final hours appeared quiet, routine, almost deceptively ordinary. And so the questions began to form. Had something been weighing on him that no one recognized? Were there medical issues lingering beneath the surface, hidden even from those closest to him?
What I wrote on the board is, it takes energy to understand energy, but we can only handle so much. We all need to release. I'm sorry you couldn't manage it all, but I hope you found peace. When there's so much excitement in the world and so much sadness, it's so hard to keep going between. It's overwhelming.
Early speculation erupted immediately. Whispers of relapse, hidden substances, or something more sinister behind the sudden loss. Theories multiplied online, each one building faster than the evidence could be processed. But once investigators began their work, a different picture took shape. A quiet home, a controlled environment, and a timeline that pointed not to conspiracy, but to a medical emergency unfolding in isolation.
Your disease is just outside, just doing one-arm push-ups, just waiting for you, waiting to get you alone. Because alone, you lose to the disease.
Behind the scenes, he faced persistent physical challenges. Chronic pain from injuries and repeated medical procedures became part of daily life. Each moment of discomfort carried privately while maintaining a public persona of energy and humor.
People don't always have to stay broken, and that they can change and become better people.
Substance dependency complicated matters further. Patterns of use, attempts at recovery, and relapse cycles created a private tension unseen by the millions who knew him only as Chandler Bing.
There's a description that the character you play is a very exaggerated version of yourself.
Yeah.
I've seen that. Is that true?
Well, he's a drunk, and I have a very well documented history with alcoholism, so we have that in common. But it's not autobiographical, it's not me up there, it's somebody different.
Over years, the combination of physical strain, private struggles, and relentless external expectations created an unyielding weight, a life constantly balancing on the edge between control and chaos.
Not an empty seat in sight, and everyone's got a story to tell.
We come from all different backgrounds.
33, 34 days clean up at crack cocaine and everything.
This meeting in Preston takes place every week. It's organised by a charity called Red Rose Recovery. And for many like Matthew Parry, it's proved to be a lifesaver.
These groups really do help me. They give me the confidence and the ability to speak out.
Many of our people have got an illness and they don't know they've got an illness, you know, and that illness manifests in a way that is perceived as though it's a choice. And anybody else with an illness will be treated with compassion.
Why does this matter?
I've just buried a family member within the first couple of weeks. You know, it's like statistics show within the first couple of weeks, people take their own lives, and they do that because they've got no hope.
Autopsy and toxicology testing were completed in mid-December 2023. The Los Angeles County Department of Medical Examiner reported its findings. The cause of death was the acute effects of ketamine, with contributing factors that included drowning, coronary artery disease, and the effects of buprenorphine, a medication used in opioid use disorder treatment. The manner of death was ruled an accident. There was no evidence of a criminal act at the scene, no signs of forced entry, no indicators of a struggle, and no immediate sign of external foul play. Investigators therefore focused on the medical and toxicological evidence to explain how a routine evening became fatal. How had medications found in the residence, at therapeutic levels, consistent with long-term treatment and monitored care, be something that would take his life? The findings closed the initial investigative questions about external involvement, while opening a different line of inquiry about how prescription, treatment, and access to substances factored into the circumstances of his death. Lines of inquiry that later led to criminal prosecutions connected to the supply of ketamine.
Following Mr. Perry's death in October of last year, law enforcement, my office, and our partners represented on this stage began an in-depth, wide-ranging investigation. That investigation has revealed a broad underground criminal network responsible for distributing large quantities of ketamine to Mr. Perry and others.
And 2 years later, someone would be arrested.
We begin here with this breaking news. A doctor who pleaded guilty to selling ketamine to Matthew Perry has been sentenced to more than 2 years in prison.
A California doctor who supplied ketamine to Friends star Matthew Perry had been sentenced to 30 years in federal prison, becoming the first person to receive a sentence in the actor's overdose death. Investigators found that Matthew Perry sought out Dr. Salvador Plasencia not for recreational drugs, but in a desperate attempt to manage chronic pain and long-standing mental health struggles. Plasencia provided him with multiple vials of liquid ketamine, lozenges, and syringes, all outside proper medical oversight and in violation of federal law. He even administered an injection himself, according to filings, before leaving further doses to be used without supervision. The judge condemned his actions as a drug dealer in a white coat.
Defendant Plasencia saw this as an opportunity to profit off of Mr. Perry. He wrote in a text message in September 2023, quote, "I wonder how much this moron will pay."
Most doctors would never do this. They take this oath to do no harm. They go into the field to help people. And this conduct is so far from their oath that it's just particularly offensive.
Dr. Salvatore Plasencia was one of 5 charged in a multi-year federal investigation that examined how Perry acquired the dissociative anesthetic through an underground drug network in Hollywood.
These defendants took advantage of Mr. Perry's addiction issues to enrich themselves.
When clinic doctors refused to increase his dosage, he turned to unscrupulous doctors who saw Perry as a way to make quick money. Dr. Plasencia and Dr. Chavez violated the oath they took to care for their patients.
You have any regrets, Mr. Chavez?
Without performing any medical evaluation or monitoring, they supplied Matthew Perry with large amounts of ketamine in exchange for large sums of money.
You going to be able to keep your license, Mr. Chavez, after all this?
You don't have to get it out. Charging Perry $2,000 for a vial that cost Dr. Chavez approximately $12.
What is your biggest regret here, Dr. Chavez?
The charges carried a maximum of 40 years in prison, though prosecutors had asked for a sentence of 3 years. The 4 others charged in the case, including another doctor, Perry's assistant, and the 2 people who supplied the ketamine dose that killed him, have also pleaded guilty and are set to be sentenced in the coming months.
They knew what they were doing was wrong. They knew what they were doing was risking great danger to Mr. Perry, but they did it anyways.
But even with convictions secured, one truth remained. Accountability arrived too late to save the man at the center of it all.
Yeah. It's like to watch Friends now.
Oh God, don't make me cry.
I won't. We won't make each other cry.
Okay.
Well, you're already crying. Do you want a minute? We don't have to talk about.
No, sorry, I just started thinking about.
I know. Yeah. Are you sure? We don't have to really.
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
There's usually a statistician, somebody who's following the ratings. Which one of you is the one who checks the numbers?
I think we got a 21.8 thing. No, I follow that to a freakish degree.
Can't forget about these characters. They were warning us how it was going to be as a young adult in New York City. So, and Chandler, above all, was the one that would always give us the one-liners and the sarcasm, which I love so much, and which is why we all love that character so much. But in real life, you could see how much he had struggled with his, personal demons that he had. He did everything he could. This should, be an awakening or, open your eyes to how you could ruin your life or take your life. So, and I know that was his goal, to help as many as he could when he was alive. But hopefully he could help more now that he's passed.
In the end, it wasn't conspiracy or scandal that claimed Matthew Perry's life, but a collision of medical risk, misplaced trust, and the silence of a moment no one was there to witness. The investigation left one final forensic reminder, that a life can be lost not only through violence, but through the quiet failures of those entrusted with care, and the silent moments where help never comes.